Well, good afternoon and welcome to Cut to the Chase with State Senator Amanda Chase, our weekly call-in town hall and radio show. I'm State Senator Amanda Chase, your weekly radio show host, and I'm honored to serve the 11th Senatorial District. There are 40 of us who are serving in the state Senate. I represent most of Chesterfield, all of Amelia, and all of Colonial Heights. I'm a Christian, conservative, Republican, and in that order, I'm also co-founder of the Transparency Caucus. We've gotten a lot of good things done. I serve on 4 committees: health and education, transportation, local governments, and privileges and elections. And many of the topics that we address on the show are issues that constituents have brought to my attention. So those of you who've been tuning into our show for a while have been able to listen to a variety of different topics. You can even go to my website, chaseforsenate.com, and you can go back and listen to prior guest speakers that we've had on the show. And it's hard to believe, but we've actually been on Cut to the Chase for over a year now. So we've got a great show ahead of us. We'll be talking about the monuments because that's on everybody's minds right now. But we have a very special guest for you, U.S. Congressman Dave Brat from the 7th Congressional District. Are you there, Dave?
I'm with you, Senator.
Awesome. It's great to have you on the show today.
Congress...
Oh, go ahead.
No, great to be on. You always cut to the chase. I love the whole show.
That's awesome. A lot of people don't realize this, but there's one thing that's a little bit different from the State General Assembly and the U.S. House where you serve, and that you all pretty much serve year-round. In other words, you have to leave your family pretty much every month for 3 weeks of every month, and you get August off, and that's pretty much it. Did I get that correct?
Yep. No, that's it. I sleep on the floor up there most nights.
Yeah. Yikes. So, a lot of people have an impression of Congress and, what it's like to be in Congress. And there really is a big disparity. I know before Dave went up there, many of us had an impression. We thought that Congress made all this money, that their kids went to college for free. Is that true, Congressman Brat? Do your kids get it?
No. There's a lot of the email chains. I see them all. They say, we get free lifetime pensions and lifetime pay, and that's not the case. I can assure everyone, I don't have any pension right now at all with the government. There's no lifetime pay. I think they may be confusing it with the president. I think the president gets lifetime pay.
Well, I know that's been very interesting to me. Congressman Brat and I knew each other before we were ever in office, and I've always seen Dave as just a good, strong grassroots activist. I've known him for many, many years. And so it's kind of like Mr. Smith goes to Washington, if you will. And I've enjoyed riding along and kind of talking to Congressman Brat along the way. And so some of the questions I'm going to ask him today, I think everybody needs to know, because sometimes we as citizens, we don't really understand what it's like to be a congressman. But I just want to remind folks, let's talk about the different committees you serve on. You're on the House Budget Committee, which makes sense. Education and the Workforce Committee, Small Business Committee, and you're also chairman of the Small Business Subcommittee on Economic Growth, Tax, and Capital Access. So that's awesome.
Yep. And those three, they all kind of fit my background. I was a professor for 20 years, and then at the budget, I love doing that. And I know you do a great job on your committees as well.
Well, you're also a member of the Freedom Caucus, and you guys have really been able to stir things up, which we as grassroots activists love that and love what you all have been able to do. But you've also been able to secure some awards here, and I want to list those off. And I know Dave's a humble guy, and he would never mention these, and you never hear about it, so that's why I want to talk about it today. But you received the Guardian of Small Business Award and 100% scorecard rating, also with the National Federation of Independent Business for 2016. So that's very impressive. Taxpayers Friend Award 2016 and the National Taxpayers Union. He's the Taxpayer Hero, Council of Citizens Against Government Waste in 2016. And then also you got a 100% rating with the Conservative Review Scorecard. Congressman Brat earned a 100% rating on the National Right to Life Gun Owners of America, you have a A rating. And some of these others, I'm not sure familiar as much with Numbers USA, but you got an A rating with that. You're endorsed by the Campaign for Working Families, as chaired by Gary Bauer. You're endorsed by the National Vietnam and Gulf War Veterans. So we got a lot of veterans in the 11th Senatorial District, and I just think it's good that since you've been in office, and remind me, what was your first year in office? How many years have you been in office?
Yeah, I've been in 3 years, so came in 14, a hair early 14. Yep.
Gosh, it seems like years ago.
Yep.
A long time.
It's amazing. Well, I appreciate you saying that about the scores, because I try to get along with everybody, and those scores, especially like that small business score, I'm 100. Senator Warner, I think last year was a 30, and Senator Kane was a 17. And so I think that's a way to get to cut to the chase, right, for your show, and to get to the bottom line. It's like you don't have to be personal. You don't have to get negative. You just take these objective scores and go to people. If you're concerned about small business, and if you want tax cuts and a few dollars back in your pocket at the end of the year, I mean, then you got to vote a certain way and make some hard decisions. And too often these, campaign ads come out, they're all personal attacks. I never do negative stuff. I don't do negative hit pieces. But that's the way D.C. operates right now. So we got to get away from that and just back to, vote for the people who follow your principles.
Absolutely. What would you say is probably the biggest challenge in Congress? Like, what do you see?
Yeah, it's the money. I mean, overall, even our leadership, that everyone thinks, individuals make up their minds. And I always say, basically, up in D.C., everyone's following what I call the giant Excel spreadsheet in the sky. If you look at how power is doled out up there, right? If you're the chairman of a committee, or if you're put on a money committee, like, financial services or ways and means or energy, you can raise $1 million in 2 months, right? You can raise multiple millions. And that race in Georgia just cost $50 million. And so if you're there, and then if you're in a tough race, you need $5 million. So then the Republican Party will help you raise $5 million and give you $5 million. And if that's the case, how do you think you're voting? You're voting with whoever's giving you the money. And so that's why, this Trump revolution, it wasn't just a Trump revolution, right? This thing was from Bernie all the way over to President Trump. And the American people are catching on, and they're just fed up with this crony capitalism up there, where all the big guys got their lawyers and their lobbyists, and the average person doesn't. And so you and I are fighting, for the small business folks, for the folks in the pews, for religious liberty. We met with the pastors the other day, and it's a tough fight, because you're fighting against millions and millions and millions of dollars.
And it's funny you should say that, because a lot of people don't realize this, but we're charged caucus dues. If
Right.
you're going to be a part of the Republican caucus, I know it's this way in my caucus.
Yep.
And I started asking questions about that, like, what is that going for? And I just I let folks know up front. I said, my focus is to help constituents, and I'm not going to spend all this time raising money. And you can look at my bank account and see that. But
Yep.
my focus, and your focus too, has been meeting with constituents, which we've done quite consistently while you've been home in the month of August. I'm telling you, a lot of congressmen go on these exotic trips and, go, take the month off and do whatever. But you've been in the district almost every week, every day, meeting with constituents. And, I will have to tell those of you all who are skeptical of Congress that we send people there and they go and change. I'm very pleased. And major kudos to Congressman Brat. He is the same person that we elected several years ago.
Yep. Well, I appreciate it, and you're the exact same way. That's why we're a great team down here. Trying to listen to our constituents and serve them at state level, federal level, and then we both get to meet with all the local leaders, Chesterfield and Henrico, et cetera. I got 10 counties, you got several, and they do a phenomenal job. And so sometimes people think we're anti-government. We're not. We just want to bring all those federal dollars back down to people who are closer to our neighbors, and they'll do a much better job. I'm very impressed when I go around and see the head of schools and the head of the police and the sheriffs, et cetera. They're just outstanding individuals. And tomorrow you and I are going to both go celebrate the retirement of one of our great leaders in Chesterfield.
Yeah, Colonel Dupuy, who is just an incredible leader, has been a huge asset to Chesterfield County since 1979. I tell you, Lieutenant Dan Kelly is now the new interim chief. When we come back from the break, we'll be back in 4 minutes. We might briefly talk about him, but super fantastic quality individuals. Y'all stay tuned. We're going to come back in just a few minutes with Congressman Dave Brat.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniels Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniels Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniels Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155.
The Chesterfield County Colonial Heights Crime Solvers Program needs your help to solve a series of larcenies from auto. On Thursday, June 22nd, between 3:20 and 4:30 p.m., a man was riding his bicycle at Pocahontas State Park. When he got back to his car, he realized his doors had been left unlocked. Well, later that day, his bank sent him a notice that several of his credit cards had been used without his authorization. Later that day, between 5:45 and 9:45 p.m., 2 victims were away from their unlocked cars in Rockwood Park. These victims, too, were notified of unauthorized charges on their credit accounts. Thankfully, when the stolen cards were used, store cameras captured images of 2 suspects. Those pictures can be seen at crimesolvers.net or on Facebook at crimesolverscch. And if you have information on these or any unsolved crimes in or people wanted by Chesterfield or Colonial Heights, submit a tip through the hotline 748-0660 or through the new P3 app. Remember, if your tip helps, you could receive a cash reward. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and take the time to solve the crime.
Attention! Sorry I'm talking a little loud because I want to reach people with a hearing problem. Do you want to hear better for just $299? Yes, not thousands, but for $299, you can hear all the sounds you've been missing for years. Hearing Help Express has been helping people hear better, selling top-quality hearing aids for over 30 years. Now's your best chance to hear better with hearing aids for only $299, plus a free 45-day home trial offer, and you don't even need to leave your home or get a hearing test. Call now to start your risk-free 45-day home trial offer. Call 888-451-2042. 888-451-2042 for free hearing help consultation. Learn how Hearing Help Express can improve the quality of your life. Visit us online now at hearinghelp.com or call 888-451-2042. 888-451-2042.
Before a trip, you program your destination into the GPS. You need the best directions to get where you want to be.
You will arrive at your retirement in 8
It's the same for retirement. You need a voice to guide you. In Richmond, that voice is Isaac Wright. Join him every Saturday at 3 and Sunday at noon on WNTW 820 The Answer. Isaac's experience can help your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street. Take the first step by tuning in Saturdays at 3 and Sundays at noon for Retire Right with Isaac Wright.
Arriving at your retirement.
All right, welcome back to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase and Congressman Brat, who is my guest today. So Congressman Brat is the congressman for the 7th District, which encompasses Culpeper, Orange, James Madison's Montpelier, Henrico, Goochland, Louisa, Spotsylvania, Powhatan, Amelia, and Nottoway. We were at the Egg and I meeting with constituents this week. We had a packed room. The Chesterfield County Fair tomorrow will be at, as you were mentioning earlier, Chief Dupuy's retirement ceremony. You're everywhere, and I try to be everywhere too. But he's got 10 counties, I've got 3, so it's a big job and a lot of demands. And I hope you all appreciate the how much Congressman Brat is in the district and really listening to constituents. I mean, every fair that's out there, you're there. I don't know how you do everything that you do, but I'm very appreciative. So you leave on Tuesday, and you guys go back into session.
Yep.
The break is over, And it sounds like Trump is revealing his vision for the tax system overhaul, desiring to reduce tax burden on middle-class Americans. What do you think about that? Do you think we have any chance of some real reform in our tax system?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we just completely failed at the leadership test on health care. And most of that was because we just didn't have a coordinated game plan between the House and the Senate and the White House. And so the good news is I hope and pray we learned our lesson. And so now going into tax reform, which is, the issue. If we don't get this economy growing, we're all going to get sent packing home, and rightly so. But Trump's painting a great picture. The markets are already up, right? They're expecting this. And so we have to get those tax cuts through to maintain the economic growth and get your kids' jobs out there. And the good news is it's called a group of 6, 2 from the House, 2 from the Senate, and 2 from the White House. And they've already agreed on the core principles at kind of the bullet point level. So they're going to have to flesh that out, with exactly what rates. But they're talking about getting the corporate rate from 35%. We have the highest corporate rate in the world. Mm-hmm. And people want to know why we can't compete. Well, that's one big reason. And then the other reason is just our education system. We've got to start emphasizing pro-business philosophy and attitude to the kids. And then we should be competitive, and we should be number one in the world. And right now we're just not performing. And so then, and then lowering the rates for individuals. And then the key part that you and I bump into all the time is small business. They want to make sure that the S-corp rate, the pass-through rate for small businesses, that they get an equitable deal. And so we're going to be fighting for that as well.
Now, you actually put in legislation regarding career and technical education. I think it was H.R. 2353, the Strengthening Career and Technical Education for the 21st Century Act. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, everybody knows, not all kids. I went to work at Arthur Andersen first. It wasn't a good match for me. And so one of the things I did when I was a college professor, but I was also a student advisor, and we'd get all of our kids internships and apprenticeships throughout the year, and multiple internships. So you go out and try it out, and some young person says, I think I want to be an accountant. And they go try it out, and they don't like it. Another kid tries it out, and they say, I love it. This is the passion of my life, right? So great. And so that's what we want to do. And then some kids go to 4-year college, and that's not right for them. Some kids love technical work. They plumbers right now are in huge demand. Home construction, trucking, technology, computer coders, all these nurses are in huge demand right now, and we're not preparing the kids who have a passion in those fields. And so we got to do a lot better job. Sometimes it's called the mismatch between the skills people have and then the skills that businesses want to hire. And so we got to pay way more attention to business and what they need out there. And the labor market's still messed up from the great financial crisis we had back in 2008. But that's one small part. This technical education bill, we're trying to support community colleges, and then, the people can get business certificates from like Microsoft and get accredited within the business world, and the schools can help to make that happen. And then a kid goes out from high school, and they're doing very well right off the bat. So we want to see success for all of our kids that way.
And at the state level, we actually passed a very similar bill that's called High School Redesign. And so we are incorporating these technical and apprenticeship opportunities throughout the entire K through 12. Well, actually, mostly through high school. I know yours is designed more as K through 12, which I think is great, like the coding and that type of thing. So it's great that there's a lot of consistencies. Let's talk about raising the debt ceiling, because I know that will probably be another issue that you face when you go up. Give us a little chat on where you see. Are we going to raise the debt ceiling? What do you think?
Yes, I mean, there's no doubt we're going to do it. And unfortunately, the way it works is that we've already spent the money, right? So if you don't raise the debt ceiling, then you're in trouble. So we have it exactly backwards, which is what the people are learning about the federal government. We just cannot shoot straight. And so we're going to increase the debt ceiling for sure. That will happen. But the question is, will we finally put some teeth into this thing where you put some reforms in and discipline ourselves going forward? on spending, right? That's the problem. And we have a $4 trillion budget coming up and then we raise $3.4 billion in taxes. So we're running a $600 billion deficit every year. The debt's going to be $21 trillion coming up, on its way to 30 if we don't get our act together. And on top of that, there's $100 trillion in unfunded liabilities to Medicare and Social Security. All this is on the back of our kids. And so the kids, of course, are the only group without a lobbyist up there in D.C., which is why they get ripped off. And so we need to staying strong on this, on the debt ceiling increase. And so like the press calls all the time, say, are you going to give the president a clean debt ceiling increase like Mnuchin wants, the secretary? I said, no, we wouldn't give a Democrat president a clean debt increase, right? We need to attach conditions, and you can also attach conditions that stabilize the financial world, where you promise to pay off Treasury bills first, right? So if you ever have a government shutdown or you get in a debate situation like that, no one needs to get nervous, and you keep markets stable. But the debt is the biggest intergenerational theft you can imagine, right? We're living beyond our means right now, trying to prop up an economy that's been weak, and we're doing it on the back of the kids. And so we need to get it straight any day now. Unfortunately, there's just not enough members that want to do that. I put in a balanced budget amendment 2 years ago because I promised I would do that, and I only got 50 signatures out of 450 to sign on to that bill.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you have a PhD in economics from American University.
That's right. It helps.
I'm very glad. And I also was doing a little reading today, and I didn't realize that you served as an economist for the U.S. Army for a while.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
great.
That was a great while I was in grad school, I worked with the Army, and they were doing. I was doing kind of personnel work there, and huge. The Army, just huge economic models, econometric models, and just keeping track and trying to assure that you have fairness across the ranks. And then you got to pay the bills, and that it's like running any business. The personnel account, that's the biggest part of the budget. And so I worked on some of those issues and just got to know about the services in general. And so that was just a great opportunity. I worked at the World Bank a couple of years up there on the Philippines in the poverty section with sub-Saharan Africa and et cetera. And unfortunately, sub-Saharan Africa, we still don't have them growing, but China and India are making great progress. And so,
Congressman Brat, do you have time to come back after the break?
46.
I've got another appointment I got to make. Thank you so much for having me on, Senator.
Awesome. We'll do it again. Thanks so much for being on the show today. Thank you.
By Harvey along the Texas Gulf Coast could result in a housing crisis. White House Homeland Security Advisor Tom Bossert says a lot of hospital patients in the flood zone face relocation, and somewhere around 100,000 homes have been affected to some degree by the storm. A day after President Trump traveled to Texas, Vice President Pence touring the flood zone today. The president and the First Lady will be returning to Texas this weekend. They'll be there on Saturday. The Harris County Sheriff says 15 deputies sought medical attention for eye irritation after a fire broke out at a Houston area chemical plant. Good day on Wall Street. Stocks ending higher. The Dow is up about 56 points. NASDAQ gained 60 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Right now at the Home Depot, Ortho Home Defense ready-to-use 1-gallon perimeter spray, Ortho Bug B Gon 32-ounce concentrate, or 10-pound bag is your choice, 2 for just $10. Making bugs disappear is quite a trick. Ortho Home Defense and Bug B Gon can knock out over 100 types of insects. Money in your pocket, fewer pests in your home and lawn. Start your own disappearing act with Ortho Home Defense and Bug B Gon. Your choice, 2 for just $10. Only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through September 6th, U.S. only. See store for details.
How can Chris be so relaxed when his big interview is today? Because he searched jobs on Glassdoor.com. Out of millions of listings, he filtered by distance and salary to find the job that was right for him. He researched the company on Glassdoor too. He read employee reviews. He knows they have great medical, even free Donut Fridays. So he has nothing to worry about and everything to look forward to. Glassdoor. Find the job that fits your life. Go to Glassdoor.com or download the app today.
Adopt U.S. Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just got invited to the prom. Do you A, meet her date?
I need to see your past date report cards, your driver's license, a list of references, and this hair sample.
B, help her pick out a dress.
Don't you just love the long sleeves and turtleneck on this pantsuit?
Ugh.
C, attend the prom undercover.
Mom, what are you doing here?
I'm not Mom, I'm Calvin, the new kid at school.
Or D, capture her big moment.
Let's take a photo of you two. I'm in the middle.
When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers. But that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155.
We know it was them who sent sound bites of Michael Savage to England to get him banned in England. You Nazi rats, you. You left-wing Nazi rats. Half of you are children of Holocaust survivors. You've been on drugs so long, you don't even know you become the worst scum on the planet.
Tune in to the Savage Nation, weekdays, here on Richmond's Choice for Conservative Talk Radio. WNTW 820, The Answer.
Welcome back to Cut to the Chase with State Senator Amanda Chase. I'm State Senator Amanda Chase at your service. Give us a call today, 804-454-1366, and I'm happy to try to answer your questions. So I hope you all enjoyed having Congressman Dave Brat on the call earlier today, where we talked about the hopefully, a tax system overhaul in which we will be reducing tax burdens on middle-class Americans. We're hopeful that we can rewrite the tax system, which was a key campaign pledge, and encourage stronger economic growth and benefit companies and workers alike. That's at the national level. As many of you know, I like to focus on the state issues. I don't always trust the media. I don't always trust what they print. We have a lot of good folks out there who are reporters, and no offense to you, but I like to commentate on state issues because those are ones that I'm briefed on and familiar with, and I'm not going on hearsay. So it's nice to have Congressman Brat on the line so we can actually talk about some federal issues that I know that are important to each of you. One of the questions that I had wanted to ask him about was our Hurricane Harvey recovery effort. And I know that the House is looking at cutting almost $900 billion from disaster accounts to help finance the president's border wall, pending reduction to the Federal Emergency Management Agency's disaster relief account as part of a massive spending bill that the House is scheduled to consider next week. There's only $2.3 billion remaining in federal disaster coffers. I can tell you that my guess is that we're going to, the president has indicated that we're going to fund that and make sure that we take care of those they're so devastated by Hurricane Harvey. So I can see that they will also be voting on that. So there'll be the tax system overhaul, raising the debt ceiling, funding the government, and then providing assistance for the Hurricane Harvey recovery effort. So I think those are going to be the big issues that are coming up in the weeks ahead as Congressman Brat heads back to D.C. on Tuesday. And our thoughts and prayers are with he and everyone else that is heading back to D.C. A lot of things at stake here. I'm going to turn our attention now to a somewhat controversial topic that has been in the news everybody's talking about. Since the horrific incidences that have occurred in Charlottesville, everyone has expressed such concern and such sympathy, and so rightly so. And we've had victims with Heather Heyer, with our two Virginia State police officers who were tragically killed in such a horrific day. and one of those being Lieutenant Pilot Jay Cullen and Virginia State Trooper Bates. And so our thoughts and prayers are still with them. And we are still reeling with how to deal and cope with the aftermath of this. And I will just tell you, as I travel across the 11th District of Colonial Heights, Amelia, and Chesterfield, everyone agrees that we love each other, that there is no room for hate. There is no room for being prejudiced. Everybody condemns that type thing. So I think we can just kind of move on to the next thing, and that would be the monuments. And there's been a lot of discussion. What do we do with the monuments? Do we leave the monuments? Do we take them down? Lots of different thought on the issue. And I just wanted to offer, if I could, my opinion on that right now. And that is this. And those of you who know me, I love all people, no matter what race, stripe, whether I agree with you politically or not. I love all people. I would never discriminate against anybody. I listen to every constituent, no matter what side of the aisle they're on or what position they are. But I honestly feel like that we do need Virginia. Virginia must learn from its past, not erase it. I feel like that we need to choose to spend limited taxpayer money very wisely. We can choose to spend limited taxpayer money scrubbing lifeless monuments and statues in an effort to be politically correct, or we can choose to spend taxpayer money to help Virginians who are living today. And I know I don't do this very often, but I have to give a shout out to our governor for coming out today and actually agreeing with that statement. And we're going to come back from the break in just a minute. And I'm going to talk to you about the current state law, which protects our monuments and our memorials. I'm going to talk to you about the cost of what it would be if we did remove the statues. For those of you who are saying, let's take down the statues, you may, after our discussion, decide maybe that's not such a good idea. Maybe there are things that we can do in the future to, and I think that we are already trying to do to try to bridge those gaps. So stay tuned. We're going to come back in just a few minutes, and I want you to write this number down, 804-454-1366. Give us a call right after the break. Hi, I'm Virginia State Senator Amanda Chase, asking you to please consider donating to the families of Virginia State Police Lieutenant Pilot Jay Cullen and Trooper Pilot Burt Bates, who were tragically killed on Saturday, August the 12th, over Charlottesville. You can make your donation to the Virginia State Police Association through their Emergency Relief Fund at vspa.org or calling their office at 804-320-6272. Thank you.
Old Dominion University football is back for 2017.
Duhart to the 15 and 10 to the 5. Jonathan Duhart diving at the 1.
Head coach Bobby Wilder returns to lead a Monarch squad coming off a 10-win season and a Bahamas Bowl championship.
Intercepted in the end zone. That's Brandon Addison.
Hi, this is Ted Alexander. Join Andy Mishaw, Doug Ripley, and me for all the action all season long here on Richmond's home for ODU Athletics. WNTW 820 AM and 97.7 FM, The Answer.
If your financial plan is even slightly out of tune, you may be paying too much for taxes, exposing yourself to too much risk, or retiring without a sound income plan. Listen to WNTW AM 820 The Answer on Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 8:30 a.m. to Financially Tuned with Big John Pulowski of Norseman Advisory Group. You can contact Big John at 757-223-1559 or visit the website at norsemanagi.com.
5 days a week at the crack of dawn, John Fredericks gives you exclusive world-class nonstop coverage of our political madhouse. But what does he do on a Saturday? J-Fred. Saturday, noon till 3, it's the all-new Best of John Fredericks show. Best guests, best interviews, Best of John Fredericks. Saturdays at noon on WNTW AM 820 The Answer.
That ad you just heard, it could have been yours. That's right, you could have just heard your ad instead of some other guys. On AM 820 and 97.7 FM, you can reach more potential customers, many just like you, who can add dollars to your bottom line. Our team will work with you to make the perfect ad for your business. So give us a call at 804-717-2000. That's 804-717-2000. Your first step to becoming a household name.
Before the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People was the Dale Carnegie course. Now, after 104 years, over 8 million people experience Dale Carnegie courses. People like Warren Buffett and Ronald Reagan. The Dale Carnegie experience uses proven techniques to permanently unlock the potential of top talent, making individuals into inspiring leaders and groups into high-performing teams, while reducing the financial and emotional costs of employee turnover. For more information, visit DaleCarnegieRichmond.com. That's Dale Carnegie.
Thanks for tuning in again to Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. And I'm State Senator Chase at your service here, 804-454-1366. And we're talking about monuments now. Virginia must learn from its past, not erase it. You know, I'm a mom of 4 kids. Y'all know that. We've driven down Monument Avenue before. And it gives parents the opportunity in our busy lives to teach our children about their environment, different things they see. I think it gives us an opportunity to teach our children to love all people, and that, as Robert E. Lee said, slavery is evil in any country. That's our job as parents, to teach our children what those monuments mean. And, you know, I remember as a 4th grader, I grew up in Chesterfield County public schools, and I remember going on field trips, and I even remember doing a book report on Robert E. Lee, and I don't remember anything about, Robert E. Lee being racist or any of that. It was always about he was a Confederate war general. We just didn't, I don't know, we didn't talk about it. I don't remember that. I mean, that was a long time ago. But, you know, I did a little bit of research on this, and just some of the quotes that I read by Robert E. Lee, and, you know, he said slavery is an evil in any country. So, you know, let's just talk about the law, because, you know, there's a right way and a wrong way to go about making change. And I have to tell you that as a lawmaker, which is my role, I support the rule of law and respect the process. And when it's wrong, we need to change it. But current Virginia law is passed by the General Assembly, who are elected by the people, by the way. And it states that monuments are not to be disturbed. There is a process in place as set forth in the Virginia Constitution to make changes to the law. And it's by nature not an easy process, but it is by design. If it were too easy for us to pass laws and change laws, they would be changing every day. So when elected leaders attempt to circumvent that process, they are not only violating the rule of law, but also circumventing the input of the people that they are elected to represent. Remember, I represent you, and those of you who voted for me, those of you who didn't, I now vote, you know, I represent you too. But where, you know, the question really is, where does it end? If we let it go, I think that we have to make sure that our elected officials are checked and held accountable. And whenever an elected official goes around the law and is not accountable, I think that's unacceptable. What I want to do is equip you all with the tools here. And I actually have the law right here. It's current Virginia law that requires that we protect our monuments. And you can find it in 15.2-1812. And the section is called Memorials for War Veterans. And what this law says, it says a locality may, within the geographical limits of the locality, authorize and permit the erection of monuments or memorials for any war or conflict, or for any engagement of such war or conflict, to include the following monuments or memorials. It goes through about 20 different wars, and one of those wars, and it even gives the date, the time period. So it says French and Indian, 1754 to 1763, Revolutionary, 1775 to 1783, Confederate or Union monuments or memorials of the war between the states, 1861 to 1865. It lists off all the wars going on to Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom, Korean War, all those it lists. And here's what it says next, which is very important. It says that if such are erected, it shall be unlawful for the authorities of the locality or any other person or persons to disturb or interfere with any monuments or memorials so erected, or to prevent its citizens from taking proper measures and exercising proper means for the protection, preservation, and care of the same. And it even goes on further to say that for purposes of this section, disturb or interfere with includes removal of, damaging or defacing monuments or memorials, or in the case of the war between the states, even the placement of Union markings or monuments on previously designated Confederate memorials, or the placement of Confederate markings or monuments on previously designated Union memorials. So that's very specific, right? It goes on and says that the governing body may appropriate a sufficient sum of money out of its funds to complete or aid in the erection of monuments or memorials to the veterans of such wars, the ones that I just listed out. The governing body may also make a special levy to raise the money necessary for the erection or completion of any such monuments or memorials, or to supplement the funds already raised or that may be raised by private persons, veterans of foreign wars, the American Legion, or other organizations. It may also appropriate out of any funds of such locality a sufficient sum of money to permanently care for, protect, and preserve such monuments or memorials, and may expend the same thereafter as other funds are expended. So let's cut to the chase. The localities are not allowed to take down the monuments unless they put in a bill, and it has to be a member of the General Assembly. The governor cannot put in a bill unless he goes through a member of the General Assembly to sponsor legislation that would change this bill. And then it has to pass the House, it has to pass the Senate, and then it has to be signed by the governor. That is the process that is in place. So whenever I see localities saying, we have voted as city council that we are going to do X, Y, and Z, okay, now you're equipped with the law, and you can Google this online, okay? It's 15.2-1812, Memorials for War Veterans, and you can quote that, okay? So now you're equipped. Go back to your county government and say, no, you cannot do this. It's important to have and know the law. Those of you who say, look, I want to change the law. I want to find a delegate or senator to sponsor this legislation. You're welcome to go to that direction, but there is a process in place to do this. Today, as I mentioned earlier, there was a cost that was calculated for removing Richmond's Confederate monuments, and it said that it could cost the taxpayers $3 million a year. And that was quoted in the Richmond Times-Dispatch today. And it says, and I'm going to give credit here to Rob Shimshock, who's the education reporter there, and it says, removing Confederate monuments in Richmond, Virginia could cost the city's taxpayers $3 million a year, according to a society dedicated to preserving them. Some people were saying, let's put our statutes and our monuments in some type of museum. That's going to cost money. And at a time when Richmond is already struggling to pay for education, it says the Monument Avenue Preservation Society alleges that removal of the monuments will bring property values in Richmond down by 10 to 20%, and could actually cost taxpayers at least $3 million each year. And actually, the Washington Post reported that. So when we come back, we're getting ready to go to a break. We'll come back for the final wrap up, and we'll finish discussing this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Cut to the chase with Senator Chase.
Why do I have a problem with millennials? And I'm sick and tired of hearing the word, and I'm sick and tired of catering to them, and I'm sick and tired of hearing what they think, because they don't think. All they do is spew the data that they get off an iPhone or what's been put into their silly little heads in the public schools.
Tune in to the Savage Nation, weekdays here on Richmond's Choice for Conservative Talk Radio, WNTW 820, The Answer.
Beat the heat before the heat beats you. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155 for your free quote. Summer heat is rolling in, and Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration is offering a free Wi-Fi thermostat with any system replacement. Extend the life of your HVAC system. Save energy with a low-cost maintenance agreement. Call Daniel's Heating and Refrigeration now at 804-379-1155. That's 804-379-1155.
Old Dominion University football is back for 2017.
Duhart to the 15 and 10 to the 5. Jonathan Duhart diving at the 1.
Head coach Bobby Wilder returns to lead a Monarch squad coming off a 10-win season and a Bahamas Bowl championship.
Intercepted in the end zone. That's Brandon Addison.
Hi, this is Ted Alexander. Join Andy Mishaw, Doug Ripley, and me for all the action all season long here on Richmond's home for ODU athletics. WNTW 820 AM and 97.7 FM, The Answer.
Get your daily inspiration on our sister station, the Truth Network of Richmond, on AM 590 and 107.7 FM. The Truth Network is now on 107.7 FM, just up the dial. For 24 hours of encouragement, enjoy 107.7 FM. Realign your focus on the most important things. Just turn your dial to our sister station, the Truth Network of Richmond, on 590 AM and 107.7 FM.
Before a trip, you program your destination into the GPS. You need the best directions to get where you want to be.
You will arrive at your retirement in 8
It's the same for retirement. You need a voice to guide you. In Richmond, that voice is Isaac Wright. Join him every Saturday at 3 and Sunday at noon on WNTW 820 The Answer. Isaac's experience can help your retirement journey feel like a drive down easy street. Take the first step by tuning in Saturdays at 3 and Sundays at noon for Retire Right with Isaac Wright.
Arriving at your retirement.
That ad you just heard, it could have been yours. That's right, you could have just heard your ad instead of some other guys. On AM 820 and 97.7 FM, you can reach more potential customers, many just like you, who can add dollars to your bottom line. Our team will work with you to make the perfect ad for your business. So give us a call at 804-717-2000. That's 804-717-2000. Your first step to becoming a household name.
Thank you again for joining us today on Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase on WNTW The Answer. And you have reached the final wrap-up, the last 4 or 5 minutes. And just a couple closing comments here that I found interesting and pertaining to the monuments. Did you know that 62% of respondents to a poll conducted after the Charlottesville rally favored keeping the statues up, while 27% believe they should be removed? I thought that was interesting. A lot of folks were commenting on my Senator Amanda Chase Facebook page, and I love reading the comments. And one of those asked me, they said, are you familiar with HB 587? And that's HB stands for House Bill, by the way. House Bill 587, and said, you probably voted on it. Yes, I did. That would have made the law retroactive, which it currently is not according to the Danville, Virginia judicial system. The fact, this is this person that's commenting this, I'll call him Matt. The fact that a bill like this needed to be introduced is evidence that the current law does not cover statues built before 1998 when the law was passed. Well, Matt, that is actually not true. I'm actually very familiar with that legislation. The law was introduced by patron Delegate Poindexter to strengthen and clarify the law. And what happened was H. Bill 587 was introduced in reaction to what occurred in Danville, in which our current state law was challenged. And it happened, it took place with this one particular statue, but it was not appealed to the Supreme Court, and therefore that means it pertains to that one statue and not all statues. So I was talking to John Adams the other day, who is running the Republican nominee for Attorney General, and he agreed with me that what this actually states is that any action removing, doing anything would actually go against the original intent of the original bill. So it's not going to negatively impact any bill before any monument before 1998. That is false, actually. So I actually voted in support of Delegate Poindexter's bill to strengthen and clarify the law that that they're not going to be able to, a locality cannot take those statues down. It's interesting, there were folks that came after me and said, you're trying to ban our books. You're trying to censor our books with our kids in Chesterfield County Public Schools. And, I would just have to challenge those of you who said that, who are supporting taking down monuments. I think it's censoring and banning monuments. It's our history, okay? So anyway, you are welcome to leave your comments on my website, on my Senator Amanda Chase website, our Facebook page, and we have chaseforsenate.com. Tune in next week, next Thursday again, for a weekly town hall here at WNTW, the radio, for more editions of Cut to the Chase with Senator Chase. And love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Until next week.